Going to Richmond, and it's been a while since we've talked to Bobby, and we visited on the phone the other day, and if there's anybody in the world that I would love to talk football with, it is this guy. Bobby, you got an hour and a half? I've got till 6.
Well, I'm retired, so I'm as good as you are. Yeah, man.
That's true. Are you doing a lot of talk shows? Are people ringing your phone off the hook?
No, not that much. I do some. I had some. I worked a little bit during the fall season with football. We were a group that did some ranking of the top 25 each week, and then we would get together and make the rankings on Sunday morning, and then we'd get on a call-in around 11 o'clock on Monday. Mm. And I was in that with George Welsh, George and myself, and Bobby Bowden were with the ACC. And then people like Pat Dye, Gene Stallings, people like that were, and Vince Dooley were with the SEC, and we covered the whole country, and we'd have kind of a bantering back and forth with each guy and talking about, what he had seen that week, et cetera, to try and get a good feel on how we should be ranking them. But it was interesting, and after that we'd probably get a call or two from somebody, nationally that might, have something they want to ask you or something of that nature.
Yeah. Bobby Ross, our guest, Everyday Cafe Hotline. I'm going to do college and some Superbowl here, so while I got you, how hard was it to recruit at the college level and recruit kids and getting ready for signing day? How tough was that on the head coach?
Well, I think it's a hard day. I mean, it's a little bit better now because they generally have a great idea about where they stand, even long before this, because the recruiting is much earlier now, and now that was a little bit different. I mean, Army, we were close to that, but Army is a unique situation when it comes to national letter, et cetera. You generally speaking, if you've got a guy coming to Army, you've got him. You don't have to worry about losing him or anything of that nature. But in my days at Maryland and Georgia Tech, it was pretty hectic. I mean, at Maryland, we'd send the coaches out on signing day. They can't do that any longer now, so everybody got to sit back at home and wait for it to be faxed in. And there was always something that came up. I remember one particular incident in Maryland. We had a coach out and meeting a youngster who we were expecting to sign, and lo and behold, he goes to the home, and there are 4 other coaches sitting in the living room. And so he calls me, and he says, "What should we do?" And I said, "Well, wait it out."
Yeah, stay there.
Said, well, where is the recruit? He said, "Well, he's here right now." He said, "Oops, he just ran out the front door and has jumped in his car." I mean, he's telling me this. I said, "Get over to see his coach right away." I said, "Don't sit there now. Go to his coach because I'm pretty sure that's where he's going." And ultimately, we did get him, and that's exactly where he went. So for once, it was the right call.
Oh, about that. The kid jumps in his car, goes to see his high school coach, and what do I do?
Yeah, probably. I think that's where he was because I think that he got so turned around and so mixed up and that used to happen a lot on signing day. I mean, not just, that was one instance, but we had a number of others in which that would occur. But
what a great story.
Oh, yeah, and then we had one at, at Georgia Tech who was probably the top prospect in the state, and you get in a battle with University of Georgia, and that's a pretty tough state to recruit in because Georgia has an education program and a PE program, and almost every high school coach in the state went to Georgia. So you had a difficult time there, but this one youngster held out for 6 weeks after the signing date and made for a very long recruiting period. So,
man.
So you have things like that did happen, but it's a pretty hectic time, but it's also an exciting time, and it's a very good time because you're going to get a little bit better regardless of what happens. And you just never know. I mean, the first year I was at Georgia Tech, we signed only 11 kids, and we were late getting started. We didn't start. I didn't start to take the job until January the 5th, so we didn't have a whole lot of time. It turned out that 7 of that 11 signed a pro contract, and we had no idea that would happen. But it just sometimes you just never can tell.
Yeah. Everyday Cafe Hotline, he is the legend, Bobby Ross, Hall of Famer, former Chargers, I could go on and on reading, but I would run out of time. So, Bobby, with that, and the kids are awfully coddled now, and ESPN's got the whole day dedicated to it. There'll be press conferences and the whole 9 yards. It has really become almost a second football season, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. And I don't know that I agree with all of that, because I think although the kids seem to handle it pretty well, but that puts a tremendous amount of pressure on them, but at the same time, they're making those decisions earlier, so by signing date, they're pretty well geared to where they're going to be going. So, but I'm not for all that publicity, to be very honest with you. I think that it's an exciting day for them. It's an exciting day for their parents, but down the road, it puts a lot of pressure on them, particularly if they're a high-profile type of player.
432, Bobby Ross, our guest, Everyday Cafe Hotline, the legendary coach. Super Bowl 29, it was 1995 when you took your team to Joe Robbie and to play San Francisco. And that. What do you remember about that week and the media day and the hype? What do you remember about Super Bowl 29?
Well, it started. We stayed back the first week and tried to get our game plan done and get our good work done that week. I had talked to Marv Levy, who was a very good friend of mine, and I'll never forget. Marv says, "What the heck you calling me for? I lost 4 Super Bowl games." And I said, "Oh, Coach, and he was that kind of. He was joking, but I talked to him a lot about handling it, and what to do and that type of thing, because I had never been in one. But I do remember getting on the bus to leave. The stadium was really, a lot of people were around, and then on the way to the airport, I mean, the streets were just lined with a lot of people. I mean, just with placards and flags and that type of thing. And we got in on a Monday like the two teams did this year. But the thing I remember that whole week was just the media. It's just almost unbelievable with the amount of media responsibility you have. Now, it's okay after practice because you only have one guy to deal with, and he has to pass on the information to everyone else. But you still have, as a coach, you had that morning meeting with the media every day, and that was usually anywhere from a half an hour to 45 minutes. And I just remember the media, the fan attention. I can recall having my wife. I told her, "Look, you take care of the tickets. I mean, our own tickets, because." I've got too many things on my mind, and she had to deal with that. And you try to bring down as many people as you can, both family, friend, and everything else. So I told her, just bring down everybody, and we'll find some way to get it all done.
True.
And that makes it easy, So that's what we did, and it was nice. I had some family there, and I had a sister who was not in good health who came down, and it was one of her last probably really enjoyable times, and I'm very happy about that. But it's a great week. It's you take the field. I tell you what, I felt like a newborn pony. It was just so many people on the sideline. They were 5 and 6 deep. I remember Ray Nitschke, the great linebacker from Green Bay, came up to me on the field in the pregame warm-up and shook my hand, wished me luck, and said, "We'll be pulling for you," that type of thing.
Wow.
So, it was a great experience. I wish we had played better defensively. I thought we played pretty well offensively, but that 49er team offensively was a juggernaut. Boy, they were really, really good.
What were you trying to do against Steve Young? I mean, Steve Young with the 6 TD. What were you trying to do against him? What was your game plan against him?
Well, I think we made a mistake, and it was my mistake. It's a coaching mistake, but we tried to put in a coverage like on a Thursday that we thought might help us a little bit, and it didn't. I mean, it backfired on us. We made a mistake, and it was based on a read, and so that led to the first touchdown. And it was funny because and then the second time we had them like 3rd and 13, and Young scrambles for 17 yards, and that's what he would do. That's what he was really good at, besides being a great thrower. And they jumped out on us real quickly, and then our game plan was to run the ball. I mean, we had Natron Means. He was a really good running back. We had a very good run-blocking offensive line, and we were going to run the ball, and that's the third series was perfect. It happened right the way we wanted it, and we went about 80 yards and ate up the clock, etc., but we just couldn't stop them. And like I said, we probably made a mistake or two trying to, add a coverage or two late when we probably should have just gone ahead and played our base stuff and lined up and played football.
Yeah, he was special. Bobby Ross, our guest, Everyday Cafe Hotline, and with the Chargers that lost to the 49ers that year. Were you outside the locker room during the national anthem, or were you guys in your locker room and going through the nervous paces?
Yeah, I think we were, to tell you the truth, I think we were outside on the sideline because I do remember the flyover and seeing all the fireworks come and go, and I mean, it was a
the reason I asked that was about the emotion. I mean, are you just like churning, ready to just cry? I mean, it's got to be just an unbelievable amount of emotion going through that.
Well, it is, and it's mixed. But the other thing that you do experience was, as a coach, I was pretty well worn out, to be very honest with you. It was just, and you've got to really learn how to handle that part of it. But with all the things that were going on beside the football, and the football was difficult too, because you've got to give them a little freedom early, and we did that, and then you've got to tighten things down. And I can recall we moved from the hotel on Saturday night and went and stayed in the Miami Dolphin pregame complex, like a hotel, over at their place, and that was as close as I got to Coach Shula. I was in his room, but it was a nice place.
You did that to you did that to get the guys out of the mainstay of all the hoopla.
Yeah, and away from family and things of that nature, because they had children there, and one could get sick, or he could have a crying spell, or it could be colic or something of that nature. They got to get their sleep, so that's why we did what we did. But I don't know. I would still do that. I think that's the thing to do, to get them away from all of that. But that's always been my approach anyway. I'm still a believer in going to camp, which a lot of people aren't. But,
sure.
But that was my attitude toward it.
Legendary head coach Bobby Ross in the NFL, and also at the college ranks, and now living in Richmond on the Everyday Cafe hotline. A couple more minutes, Bobby, we'll let you go. Do you get caught up in is there a pregame speech to give at that standpoint? And do you remember what you said to the guys on the eve of the big game? I mean, what do you tell them? What do you tell your team?
Well, you just tell them, you can't say it's another game because they know it isn't. And you just try to, I used to do what I called a little bit of a summary of a game plan. And what I generally did there was I just summarized what I had given to them the previous night in written material. And I usually try to cover keys to offense, keys to kicking, keys to defense, and then, some emotional factors that we're going to have to deal with. And I would just rehash that. I also had a great linebacker by the name of Junior Seau. And Junior, at the very end, would always say, "Coach, can I have a minute?" And I'd say, "Take as much as you want." And he'd be up and down that dressing room talking. And I mean, he had a lot of emotion, and he conveyed that quite well to the football team.
Oh, that's great stuff. Who do you like then? Steelers, Packers, defense wins this thing? Who do you like?
I think they're so even, Mac. I really do. I think that these two teams are very, very even. Quarterback-wise, the only difference I can see is that, what's his name? Rodgers beats it with the speed outside, beats the rush, and Roethlisberger beats it with his strength. Mm-hmm. But I think in the end, I think that there are two things that I think Pittsburgh does a little bit better than Green Bay right now. I think even though Green Bay does them both well, I think Pittsburgh does it a little better. And that's pass rush and run the football. And I think those two things could make a big difference. But in a game that is close as this, there's two other factors that are really the key to the game. And that's the turnover ratio and the kicking game.
Yeah.
And those two factors, to me, are probably going to be ultimately what decides it. But I do think Pittsburgh rushes the passer a little bit better, and I think that they have a better running game. Mendenhall has been quite a running back for them, and has really done some great things for them.
Yeah, he has been good. Before I let you go, do you miss it?
Yeah, I miss it. I mean, you do something for 43 years, it's hard to just completely, eliminate it from your mind. So, I mean, I'll be glued to the TV set like everyone else is on Sunday afternoon because I really look forward to it, And I like to, it's not often that I do watch the pregame, but this will be one in which I will, and it's a long one for that respect. I had thought that I was telling my wife this morning that the game started at 3-something, then I found out it's still at 6-something. That makes for a long, long day. I'm telling you what. I mean, it's a long day because you've already had 2 weeks to get prepared.
That's right. Get the nap after church. And
oh, yeah. Well, it's hard to nap because you're so emotionally spent, And And I can recall looking at it and seeing, well, maybe it's going to rain. And actually, I was praying for it, but all we got was a few drops. It wasn't much to have any effect on the football game at all.
Yeah. Bobby, great to get caught up. Give Alice our best, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. And I'm glad you're in Richmond, settled in, and we will, as I said, we'll get back to you very, very soon. It's always good to get caught up with you.
Okay, Mac, thanks again for having me on your show.
All right. Bobby Ross, legendary coach on Everyday Cafe Hotline.